And welcome to the No Summary Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing. And now here's your trio of hosts, starting with Audrey, sus as hell Ember, and your second host with the most, Romina with the good hair, being extra as usual, and of course your dark lord of the interwebs, Roberto Blake. Welcome to the No Summary Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like and subscribe and do all the things.
Bruh.
Nice. Romina's back abandoning us for 2 weeks.
Excuse me. So I see
Actually,
that you
I think
guys...
I'm about to abandon you guys for like...
That's fair.
Okay, wait, hold up. You're going to abandon us? This is the first
just 1 week.
here.
Just 1 week.
Is this your 2 weeks notice? When does this start?
No, this is next week.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Really?
I
This
will
is
be in the middle
notice
of
you give us?
nowhere. I'm sorry.
The middle of nowhere. Okay.
Yeah.
What is this, the Sahara Desert?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm gonna be in Colorado at camp.
At camp? What
I'm
are you,
helping some
12?
friends- I'm helping some friends. with the
Excuse me,
creator camp.
guys. I'm going to be at camp. I can't be on the podcast next week because I'm going to be at
sorry.
camp. I'm going to be
Sorry.
kayaking and
I mean, I'm-
campfires.
Sounds extremely sus.
I'm helping some friends with the creator camp thing.
What creator
So I'm-
camp?
See, now that sounds even more sus.
I
That's
don't-
like sus times X.
I don't know how to. That's literally what it's like. I think they're getting like 30 creators together and just gonna have everyone hang out, and it's camp themed.
Who's they? This sounds like a cult.
Somewhat.
Okay, you need to
It
share your
is.
location with us.
Is it a brand?
You
No.
can't just go over there and not
They
tell
have
us
some
where you're gonna go.
sponsors, but it's not.
What if
it's
something
started by
happens to you
creators.
out there? We need to know.
Okay. This isn't like, because last time there was like a creator camp. It was a Sony camera camp hosted by Justine and Jenna.
Yeah. No, this one is like bootleg, started from a couple creators.
Okay, so it's the bootleg edition. Okay, got it.
Yes. But I'm excited because
a
it's
dollar
not,
store version.
like I haven't.
Cool. I mean, is it a national park? Are you guys,
Oh.
are you guys camping in a national park?
I don't know, actually. I'm just gonna show up and help. I have no idea. But I think it's gonna be interesting because I've done like company sponsored creator events, but I've never done a creator like started creator event on this type of scale before. So I feel like it could be actually really good because it's not like we have to, there are sponsors, so there are things that they have to do and like that will be involved, but it's not gonna be like, I feel like the vibe is gonna be different. So I'm kind of excited.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I mean, I'd love to do something like that here in like Atlanta. We have state parks and national parks and stuff like that. So
I think any excuse to get creators like together is awesome. So
is this not what I've been talking about for like ever?
yes, you were the original.
But ideas are cheap. Execution is where it counts. Shut up, Roberto. I know.
We should have a boxing camp where everyone has to fight each other.
Is it with you and violence? You need to get that checked out, girl.
I want to start boxing again urgently.
I figured out who I want to.
Oh my god,
whose phone was that?
that was not me.
Sorry, that was me. I've got to put no disturb on, but I actually got a super interesting message regarding my book and a conference. So that's actually really good news.
Roberto's like, I got to turn off my notifications, but also I'm a trillionaire now.
I wish. Yes.
Speaking of money, shall we jump into the first topic?
Okay.
Which is that Tesla has officially sold off 75% of their Bitcoin. And so this happened, I guess, this week, which is...
It happened this week or it was disclosed this week? One of those.
Right, exactly. And so this is kind of a big deal because obviously they lost money in this transaction.
A lot of money.
Because if I remember correctly, wasn't it something like $1 billion or something like that? How much money did they actually?
They put like they were whales. Here's the interesting thing about that is with them selling, the Bitcoin price has gone up because with them divesting such a large stake, one, I think they sold back during the real crash, which means I think they sold lower than now because one, the price of Bitcoin has been going back up. And then also in a weird twist, this did not hurt Tesla stock. Tesla stock is going up. And so it's really interesting because I think Tesla shareholders, like the Tesla shareholders, the retail investors, but also the institutional investors, I think they're happy to see Tesla and Elon pull back on crypto and its volatility and all the baggage and PR that comes with that. And the crypto community is glad Elon said, hey, this is not a referendum on Bitcoin. We're happy to buy more later. We're just doing this for business purposes. And so I think the Bitcoin community is also happy because now it is taking Elon and Tesla out of the mix of having so much of what their stake and their thing is tied to such a volatile CEO and such an unpredictable guy. So I think everybody won.
I had not heard about this. So
Well, you're hearing about it now, Audrey. What do you think about this? As somebody who is not in the crypto space.
Well, I don't know.
Audrey's like, not my monkey, not my circus. It's not my monkey.
I mean, I don't know. Kind of, isn't like all crypto kind of crashing right now? Is that what's happening?
It's actually rallying again. It wasn't quite as bad as people said.
Yeah. So the thing about this is that
crypto's not down now any more than the overall market.
Yeah. It's not any worse than the increase of fuel.
Yeah. It's not any worse than the regular stock market underperforming right now, or any worse than like everything caused by inflation.
Yeah. I think what's news here is the fact that Tesla put in so much money and boasted about this. And Elon was like a huge like, hey guys, look at me, right? He was like the guy who was standing naked in front of the window, hoping that everyone would see him. This was last year, when they invested in Bitcoin, which was a really huge deal for a company of Tesla's magnitude and scale, right?
At the time, they made a lot more profitability off of their Bitcoin investment during the bull run of Bitcoin during the pandemic. They made more off of their bull run with Bitcoin and their investment on that than they did with Tesla itself in terms of retail, in terms of sales. So it's really interesting now that Tesla's sales performance is strong, but like they took such a massive loss on the Bitcoin side. It's down to less than what they bought it for. So
right.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. I think I'm going to see what the actual number was, because
I want to say they bought in at like 30 something and now it's like 20 something. And it was peak at 60 something.
Mm-hmm. So they cashed out $936 million.
Ew, that's like $1 billion. Sheesh. They're still holding.
And they had bought 1.5 billion.
So they still have 25%. So they still hold in a grip. They're still holding like almost maybe 200,000 worth of Bitcoin. That's still a pretty significant loss, unless somehow they took profits, which I don't think they did back when it was at its peak, or unless they found. Oh, but you know what? Actually, this is not so bad for them. I just realized something.
What's that?
Tax loss harvesting. Corporations are not people. Since corporations aren't people, when they lose money, they don't really lose money in a way because they can take it as a loss and pay less in taxes. So they can do what's called loss harvesting.
Right.
Sneaky. The average American can do lost harvesting. In fact, every American that's a retail investor, given the current economy and everything, thanks Biden, is going to have to do lost harvesting. Oh, I'm pissed. I mean, my retirement portfolio is taking a hit. It's like I'm not pulling punches on it or anything like that. My portfolio is doing bad. My life savings that I worked for, along with a lot of other Americans. I talk to older Americans all the time because I always have older friends, and these aren't all just like entrepreneurs and rich fat cats. These are like people who have just literally worked their whole lives for the last 40 years. And they're seeing their life savings down by 20%, and they did nothing wrong. They didn't do anything. In fact, they felt like they're being punished for doing the right thing because they were told, hey, put all your personal feelings aside, put your own politics aside, put your own philosophy aside, put your beliefs aside, and do right by your country and vote for Joseph R. Biden. And what they get for it, they have their cost of living and inflation and these things increased, and hurts older Americans a lot more, especially since their work capacity is diminished. Hurts retired Americans probably the most out of anybody, and nobody seems to care. And then these people who've worked their whole lives have seen 20% hit to their life savings and everything like that. It seems unreasonable and unfair, and nobody cares about them, and nobody is talking about it. So
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on this week in terms of the crypto scene, and it I mean, it doesn't look good to a lot of people, but
like another crypto exchange, something Celsius or something, didn't one of these things crash, or they got looted or something?
Yeah, I mean, they've been and they filed for bankruptcy. Yeah, and something else that's interesting is that
sorry about that.
What?
It's just
wow.
Wait, is it playing on your speakers?
That was really inspirational.
No, it's
that was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was no, it plays through the Rodecaster.
Yeah,
it made me feel like I was walking around over a bridge. Yeah, on a cloud.
We should have that playing the entire podcast, just behind everything we say.
Oh yeah, can we just have like
an very
just like inspiring,
very soft like meditation music?
Actually, I'm into that. Can we do that? Like no lo-fi, no chill hop.
That literally was lo-fi.
Okay, but it didn't have a beat. It was a lot more relaxed.
Can we just play the Wii music the entire time?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, we need copyright.
The Wii menu music.
Are you not a YouTuber?
I don't think that's copyright. I've used that before in videos.
No.
To Nintendo. Nintendo has been like striking people down left and right. Yes.
Okay, well then the Kahoot music.
Audrey.
Just the whole time. I think I would probably die a little on the inside. Not gonna lie.
This music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all right.
It's kind of like muffled though and cutting in and out. I don't know if it is for you, Romina.
I mean, it is when he talks, right? Or like one of us talks. I think that's what happens.
Is this your music?
But yeah, this is mine.
Nice.
Yep.
I don't know. Just the choppiness of it is.
Yeah, maybe lower it just a little bit so that it doesn't overpower us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think that's good. So lots of stuff happening actually. Something that was discussed today on my other show, the Web3 one, it was that apparently Neopets.
What are you laughing at right now, Audrey?
Yeah, what's so funny? I just wanted she's just like
I was reading something and it's not laughing. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
We are recording right now.
I know, I'm sorry. I was laughing at a meme. Sorry.
All right. Okay. So what I was saying was that 69 million accounts of Neopets are currently being held hostage.
What?
By a hacker who's holding them ransom because he wants money.
How much does he want for them?
Let me see. I've got it here.
69 million? Do people even play that game anymore?
Apparently 69 million people do.
Just all of them. Every single person who plays that game.
Okay, so the hacker listed the data for a price of 4 Bitcoin, or roughly $100,000. So he would like, the hacker wants 4 Bitcoin.
So
For
this,
all of them?
Yes.
this is what's annoying to me is
That's a
like
steal.
it's all these smash and grabs, it's all these ransom attacks, it's all of these, because I mean people are even doing this in the NFT space. It's like this is incited, like, and I'm not blaming the technology, but it's like yes, it has incited criminal behavior and scams, but technology in general does that. The original internet itself incited this kind of scammy behavior. The internet itself. I'm old enough, and Romina, you as well, to remember AOL and all.
What? Don't dox my age, man.
You remember? You were like, we're old school internet.
Yeah.
So back.
No, I mean it's serious and it's not fun. And it's scary. Scammers, hackers, you guys all suck. But also it's Neopets we're talking about. Audrey, did you even have a Neopet? Like, do you even know what that is?
I know what it is, but I was into webkinz. There's a very like clear line. Like you have to pick.
Audrey's like, webkinz are bust.
Yeah.
Tamagotchi and Gigapets.
Yep. Yeah. Tamagotchi was where it was at, like for me initially. And then when Neopets was a thing. Yeah, what were you gonna say? Excuse me, wait, hold on. What atrocity
little,
was about to
thing, right?
An egg?
The circle?
An egg.
She's talking
literally the shape of an egg.
Shane, you're talking. Yeah, okay.
Tamagotchi.
I just didn't have one of those, but I know what they are.
Yes, it's the shape of an egg. Because it's like a little pet that hatches from the egg. You have to take care of it.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Could you tell me about webkinz? What was it about webkinz that was so attractive to you? Wow.
I don't think I actually got hacked out of it. I got locked out of my webkinz.
So then you can relate with these
so sad.
69 million.
I feel the pain of all of those people.
Of the 69 million Neopet owners.
Yes. I don't know why I was locked out. Webkinz was like you'd have to buy stuffed animals. And then when you got one of them, they would have a code on it. And then you could like enter the code and they'd pop up digitally in your house.
Yeah. So then Webkinz overlaps the offline world and online world.
They have both.
Kind of like mixed reality, early iteration of mixed reality.
Right.
Yeah. Except the stuffed animals were just stuffed animals. Like that's all those were.
But... Is Webkinz still a thing? Or did they?
I thought I saw something about Webkinz recently. I don't know. I don't think it's still a thing. I'm looking it up.
Listen, if nobody's hacking them,
Webkinz
holding them hostage, they're not a thing.
I think it's still up.
Clearly, Neopets is more relevant.
It's still up. No, I think Webkinz is pretty up there.
Did you say no?
Yeah.
Listen, Audrey, if your precious Webkinz are not being held ransom by a hacker,
they're not relevant.
Then they're not relevant, okay? Just deal with it.
Webkinz is wild. No, it's still going. I saw there was something about Webkinz, and there's like a conspiracy theory that it's haunted.
Really?
Okay, wait. Okay, hold up.
The website itself. Apparently, there was like someone hacked the website and was murdering people's Webkinz.
What?
It sounds like a creepypasta.
I don't think it's true, but I remember someone told me that. And I was like, what?
That doesn't
someone
sound...
hacks Webkinz and murders children's stuffed animals in their houses.
Do y'all remember the urban legend that the Lavender Town song from the original Pokemon was causing people to commit suicide?
What?
No.
So there's
Why? It was like
legend that the frequency. There was this old urban legend that the frequency, the audio tone of the song for Lavender Town was getting people in Japan not so depressed that they would commit suicide. Like that's the urban legend.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no to that.
Right out of there.
That's I wonder why.
Go look it up. It's an urban legend.
No, that's silly. I mean, especially since you said Japan.
High rates of suicide, so it's like that's plausible.
I mean,
but that's why it was plausible.
Hmm.
No.
Just no.
Audrey, how is it that your background is out of focus and then also your mic, which is in the foreground, is out of focus? How does that happen?
It's called magic? I don't know. It's the software not doing its job properly.
What are you using?
Oh, she's using the portrait.
I'm using my webcam, yeah.
Yeah, she's using portrait mode.
So it's just not registering this as foreground.
It's probably because you're backlit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have curtains now.
I saw that.
We're making improvements.
And
I don't have
the baby?
anything to like hold them. Oh, the baby's over there. Wait, do you want to?
No, I don't want to see the. Oh, great. Okay.
I made an upgrade to it.
Oh my god, she made it even more.
An upgrade.
Now it's a green screen.
Oh god.
So you can put whatever you want.
And then it can make it even more creepy. That's like for me.
No, do not put that thing there. You will remove that from your background effective immediately. Look at that. You see, she touched the baby and then like the mic broke. That baby's cursed. It's a cursed baby.
Try talking so we know your mic works.
Working?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
It's cursed. Don't look at that baby. I'm going to sneak in there in the middle of the night and I'm going to torch that thing.
No, my roommates have threatened multiple times.
Oh, Lord.
But I need it for a video, so I can't go until the video's done.
Can you give me your roommates' names and phone numbers? I'm going to contact them and give them a little something to take care of it.
Don't you think it's great?
I got a job for them. I have a job for them.
No, I can put anything in its face.
Okay, yeah, those are words that I never want to hear again.
No.
Shall we jump on to the next topic? I feel like this I think we've.
Do you want to know why I put a green screen? Just to like cover. So I put it there because I made a TikTok.
To cover what? Your tracks?
Yes. I made a TikTok. I made a TikTok where it was a tutorial and I like green screened it out and I put Shrek in its face and I posted it on my Instagram story and nobody noticed.
Oh, Chris has a really good idea in the chat.
No.
See, exactly. I'm going to
say no to that. Audrey, will you please read that out loud?
I should give it a face with teeth, of all teeth. A face of all teeth. That's a great idea, Chris. I'll do that next time. I'll set up OBS and I'll do that.
I'm going to say no to that.
That's a big for me. That's a big yikes for me.
Yeah. Hashtag yikes.
See, this is my topic. I'm bringing a new topic today.
Nightmare fuel.
I think it's beautiful. What? I'm logged back in, Romina. I can change them now.
Oh, man. Speaking of change, you know what hasn't changed? Gary V.
Maybe it should change. He's getting canceled on TikTok. It needs to be a new strategy.
Why is he being canceled on TikTok? Besides,
he's not being canceled. When I say cancel, I was exaggerating. He's getting memed into oblivion on TikTok.
Yeah, because kids on TikTok are freaking brain dead. That's why.
Yup. It's just
brain dead
very easily memeable.
Like, how is it that all these brain dead goobers are gonna sit here and they're gonna clown and dunk on a dude that's worth $250 million and everything like that? I'm not $250 million and everything like that. So what the hell do these kids? These kids are freaking brain dead. And
Also, he's like twice their age, right?
twice,
like
or
whatever.
more
Right?
than
Oh
like, yeah.
God,
But
this just makes it more funny.
I kind of don't think it's funny. I think it's kind of sad. And I think it's kind of pathetic, to be honest, that these kids sit there. And it's one thing if somebody's
It's
doing
a little mean, Audrey. Okay, you don't
I mean,
make
yeah,
fun
it
of your
is.
seniors.
What?
not that old.
Have you seen the internet?
He's not that old, but no. But I think it's they're dunking on him and they think he's cringe. I think they're all cringe. I think they're cringe because back in my day, we would have had the respect to not sit there and think that we had the ability to poke fun at someone worth $250 million when we're broke as hell. It's like back in my day, little brokies used to mind their place, and when they couldn't afford their bloody goddamn Xbox games, they didn't used to try to dunk on somebody that could buy and sell their fucking house. Yeah, back in my day, we had respect. Yeah, back in my day. Like back in my day, yeah, it was like, I mean,
There's no more respect, Roberto.
and they're idiots because a lot of it they dunk on him and they like, or they even attack him over the garage sale thing, the trash talk thing, because you're a multi-millionaire. Why are you haggling down a dude from like $10 to $5? It's because they're sitting there, they're acting like he's ripping people off at these garage sales. I don't think they understand. See, my issue with people under 25 for the most part is that these young whippersnappers they don't understand the concept of money, probably because they don't have any. They don't understand the concept of money. Because if you look at the neighborhoods Gary Vee is traveling in, everyone, they don't understand anything. While they're crying about never being homeowners, they don't understand jack all, because Gary Vee is not garage sailing in their neighborhood. He's garage sailing in these neighborhoods where every one of those damn houses is $500,000 to $1 million freaking house. Okay? Like, I don't think they understand the market. They don't understand anything. And these people, they're not trying. These people in these $500,000 homes are not trying to sell these things so they can pay their bills. These brokies are projecting. These brokies are projecting because these people, I live in a neighborhood where every house in this neighborhood is $500,000 to $1 million. No one here does a garage sale because they need the money. They do it because it's going to be very cost effective for them, instead of the extra money that they have to go to the gas money to go to the dump, or the money they have to do to pay the recycling center. Because you actually have to like pay the recycling center here. They don't pay you, you pay them. So like, yeah, it's much more cost effective for them to make money than spend gas throwing this stuff away. They're just trying to clean out their garage or their basement or their ag. They're trying to throw this shit away. And like, instead of throwing it away and feeling bad or guilty, they're making a few bucks.
So I think that this brings up a good question, I think, of does the algorithm reward
stupidity,
ratchet behavior over respect?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, because we're all being fed poison, and every influencer already knows this and everything like that. We're all being fed rat poison. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Fear will keep the systems in line, as Tarkin in Star Wars would say. It's like, yeah, it's like the doctrine of fear. It's the fear will keep the outlying systems in line. So it's like, have you noticed for the last couple of years, they've just fed us a constant diet of anxiety and frustration and envy and anger and any negative emotion you can think of? That's all there is. You get no good news, no positive headlines, no good news. No, everyone refuses to write a positive story about an influencer. Everyone refuses to write about all these influencers who do charity and raise money for charity. Like, where are all the articles about all of these things that Beast Philanthropy is doing? Beast Philanthropy does 1 to 2 massive, big goodwill projects every single month, and you'll never see a single headline. You'll never see it trending on Twitter about it and everything like that. You only see trending on Twitter that is designed to piss you the hell off. There's never something in Twitter trending. There's never anything trending on Twitter for you to celebrate and get excited about, except for movie releases. So like right now, John Wick is trending, thank God. But it's like,
Lord.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's
Like that's
you know, there's a TV show that's coming out.
what?
Yeah, so it's apparently going to be a prequel, and I think it might be a miniseries. I don't know if it's going to be like a full on.
Let's go.
I mean, obviously, if it's a prequel, then Keanu would not be a part of it, or maybe they'll figure out how to make that work. But
let's go. I
feel like, okay, Audrey, what are you smiling at? Because like Audrey is like, I don't know what she's smiling at, but it's so perfect because it makes it seem like she's just like she set up this topic just so that she can hear us rave about the rat poison.
No, it's fine. I'll tell you guys after.
Wow. So, Audrey, what have you to say about the rat poison that is being fed to us?
I love rat poison.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I don't know. I feel like there's always rat poison on the internet. It's just part of it.
I think TikTok specifically is designed. I believe TikTok has destroyed Western civilization.
Whoa. Yo, that is a tweet right there. Please.
Yeah.
TikTok has destroyed Western civilization.
It has.
I'm dead ass.
I mean, I see what you mean. It's just I love how extreme of a sentence that is.
Because it's facts.
Yeah.
What do you, I mean, it's just, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. I would not cry about a US TikTok ban at this point. I feel bad for the creators, but I would not cry over a US TikTok ban right now.
I mean, I wouldn't even feel that bad for the creators because I feel like at this point there's a lot of creators. So here's the thing. I feel like a lot of creators think that they have clout and influence, but they don't actually, right? And so you end up with people like the TikTok creators that had meet and greets at VidCon.
I was there, and it's like it was
where nobody showed up, right?
No, I mean, Audrey, you saw it. It was bad.
I mean, regardless of how much,
but it was also like the first TikTok event, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, regardless of how much stamina you have and how strong of a person you are, thinking that you have the influence over, let's say, 10 million people, right, on TikTok, and then doing something and expecting to have an impact and expecting to have an influence and expecting people to show up and then having nobody show up. That's kind of like, I mean, that's like sending out birthday invites to your whole class and having nobody show up or RSVP.
Oh my God, that's devastating. And the thing is,
so bad.
People straight up had like merch and stuff like that and had like a plan and was like, oh, I'm gonna do this for my fans and I love them so much and everything, and then just to like be just sitting there, crickets, just embarrassed and just like, oh wow, like this is.
See, this brings up a really great point too, right? Chris in the chat, he says that he just saw an article that some TikTok creators are getting super depressed about the small payouts they're getting from the creator fund, right? Because I mean, ultimately, yes, there's like the fact that they are even making any kind of money from creating is very fortunate and is something that is like, I don't want to undermine that, but also we are talking about a lot of people who are still very young and that have not fully developed their minds, and they're on a platform that requires them to be vulnerable and be very public, right? And so to put themselves out there and then
doing it for pennies,
right? I mean, it's pretty hurtful. Especially
when you have to endure the negativity, the anxiety, all the things, the having this, wrapping your validation up in these view counts and everything like that, the ups and downs of the algorithm. At least when we do it with YouTube, at least we can make a living. When we do it with YouTube, at least it's reasonable for a creator to make a living. At least we can do that. And we get more on brand deals than they do. TikTokers do not get more than YouTubers on brand deals proportionate to audience size and proportionate to effort. They do not. It's not even close. Instagram is better by far, I think, but for brand deals. But I think that TikTok, despite offering, because TikTok gets away with the level of exploitative practices that it does toward creators because of the fact that it's people who are very young and a lot of people who felt they missed the boat on YouTube. And again, because people are very young, they have no concept of money. They think a lot of money is a lot of money relative to them working at McDonald's. They think a lot of money is a lot of money relative to what their parents are willing to give them, or what people in their area and neighborhood, have. They don't understand the value of content creation. They don't understand the value of advertising. They don't understand the value of being a video editor. They don't understand the value of what people get paid to be behind the camera instead of in front of it. They have no concept of money. Their naivete, optimism, enthusiasm, and ignorance is wildly exploited by TikTok as a platform, in my opinion. Then I think they're exploited in some ways by their audience, because the audience is consuming all this free content and then has all these criticisms of people and judgments of people and expectations of people and all these demands of people and demands they be perfect, have perfect politics, perfect speech, do all these things, believe what they decide is politically correct or right or whatever, or use their platform for this or that, or we're going to cancel you and everything like that. It's not worth it for these kids to be held hostage by their effing audience over this nonsense, to be paid so damn little. The entire platform of TikTok is exploitative. It's toxic. And I believe that it's destroying society from the ground up. I genuinely believe this.
I understand like your criticism. I just think the extreme is funny. That's all. But I understand why you're saying this. It's just I just love that quote you said earlier.
Audrey, like, what do you think the value dollar transaction is for the difference of, like, a lot of people who create on TikTok. If they were getting a fraction of those views on YouTube, how much more money would they get?
Ooh, I mean, I don't really know about the like specifics number-wise, but one thing, I was talking to a friend recently about the difference between advertising on TikTok versus YouTube, and we were comparing it to like how in music videos or movies, brands will sometimes pay for product placement, and it's more like just getting brand awareness, and like
Sure,
reaching into people's subconscious rather than like a personal endorsement of a product. And that's what like TikTok is to us most of the time for brands. It's like product placement versus YouTube. It's more.
Well, there's also a big problem with the fact that people are doing that and then thinking they don't have to disclose, and they do have to disclose.
Yeah, well, that's a problem.
Breaking the law.
Should be like, they should be disclosing. But I thought that was an interesting way to look at advertisement on both platforms.
Advertising is cheap on TikTok. I will give you that. Advertising is incredibly cheap for an advertiser. But again, that's why I'm also saying it's exploitative. The advertisers are taking mad advantage of this situation.
Yeah.
Like, it's
I mean, isn't that like, what was that thing that like happened a little while ago where now people have to do like hashtag ad? Was that just in Europe? Was that the...
No, it's like you have to do that. Well, I mean, in Europe, I think they're more strict about it. I think they're more strict about it in Europe. But even the FTC here, you have to disclose those things, and they have FTC guidelines. That's why in all of my like YouTube products and stuff like that, well, at least the brand deal starter kit, and then later the brand deal secrets course, I have an entire guide in there on disclosures.
Yeah.
And I link to both the US and the UK rules. At some point, I think Canada is going to move the goalpost and change its influencer guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's interesting to like compare the two like that, because I was like wondering like what's the value of really, doing a brand deal on TikTok when on YouTube I feel like the selling point is it's coming from somebody that the audience trusts. But on TikTok it's not like that. So it's like, how do you...
It's
most
reach.
of the time anyway. It's just reach. So it's like product placement.
It's reach. It's not reputation. It's reach. It's not reputation. It's reach. Even with like Gary Vee, TikTok is just about him having reach and expanding to a young audience. And it's largely a numbers game, because for all the people dunking on him, there's going to be a massive amount of silent supporters. There's going to be a lot of silent supporters. So ultimately, he is going to win. I do feel it is a detriment to his reputation, but I don't feel it's slightly as much his fault as much as I do believe that I mean, and it's like, you can say, oh, well, you have to cater the message to the audience, but it's at the end of the day, I really feel like, I mean, I hate to be so dismissive of young people. But again, there's only a subsection of young people that I kind of really like. And it's the people who are earnest, hardworking, hustle, respect the value of a dollar, and have that mentality. And I think it's one, I'm getting old. I'm like almost 40 now. And then again, it's that I really have that immigrant mentality of the fact of I don't view hard work. I do not view work as toxic, and I do not view work as something to escape. In fact, Romina, didn't you retweet a quote from somebody about don't be mad about the things you didn't get for the work you didn't do?
Yeah.
We believe that because, like, again, we have that, like, one, there's two mentalities for that. One, people who have old school traditional values that are American, and then two, people who have immigrant values, and that's very aligned to old school Americans. So, like, it's more traditionalism, is that, like, the value of taking pride in your work, an earnest and hard day's work, word is bond, keeping your word and everything like that, not shirking responsibility, being willing to work from sun up and sundown, and it doesn't bother you, and it's not some tragedy in your life, it's the way it is. And or also that you're happy for the opportunity to be able to
but what if I'm not happy, Roberto?
If you're not happy, you have to analyze what you're doing and why you're in that position. Primary example, all right, so whether you're somebody that's an entrepreneur, right? Most of people, like, all right, let's just use me as an example, but we're not going to use any of my outlier BS, right? Like, okay, I grew up, I'm like, I came from a family of divorce, multiple kids. I was the oldest, and I grew up in a military small town in the South. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm successful. And even before that, I was able to get a good job. Even without a 4-year degree, I was able to get a good job. And I went to community college. So all that being said, the people in my small town and people who went to my school, and I went to a decent school in that small town for what it was. You could get good grades and get a scholarship. You could play sports and be good at sports and get a scholarship. You could do music and get a scholarship. So it's not like there's no opportunities, even if you come from a small town like I did. And I was a small podunk like town. It's like, and same thing with Mr. Beast. He grew up in a small podunk town. So me, Mr. Beast, and all the other kids in the Carolinas basically got the same education, and we had all these radically different outcomes. You can't sit here and just say that we were given so much more opportunity. It's like Mr. Beast had to go to a local community college, same as I did. He dropped out of it and just went all in on YouTube. And someone would argue for luck or that worked out for him. But I'm saying he had the option. He didn't ever have to work really at Burger King. He made money on the internet, even as a teenager. He didn't have to go and work at Burger King. And he had the same basic education as anybody else in Greenville, North Carolina, and there are people who work for him. They're not massive multimillionaire successes, but there are people who work for him. And what they do, the people who build the sets, the people who help make the props, the people who do all that stuff, they had that same basic education at first, and not some massive different outlier advantage. And all it was hard work. There are people who come to this country not speaking the language, and they graduate from a public school. And what do? They end up being successful. So my point with all of this is we have this weird thing with a younger generation that makes all these excuses and has this massive entitlement of, I deserve this. I deserve a living wage. I deserve this. I deserve that. And meanwhile, in contrast to that, you have people who know that, the system will not change in time for me, or, hey, I have it even harder in the system because I have this going on or that going on. Like, as immigrants, if you're an immigrant, or you have immigrant parents, that, hey, if you screw up, there's no forgiveness or no grace or no mercy for you. That. Whereas other people, like, there's all this entitlement of, I deserve this. I should have more. I should have more. Whereas meanwhile, the rest of us, we're just trying to avoid, like, the attention and ire of, like, bad things, or we're trying to, like, instead of trying to extract more from the system, we're actually trying to avoid the system at all cost. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a difference between the entitlement of the system should do more for me. I want to extract from it. Meanwhile, you have a different class of people that's like, I just need the system to get the hell out of my way and stay the hell out of my way. I'll figure it out.
Leave me alone.
And that's a difference, because it's like people who know the luxury. They don't have the luxury of the system even being kind to them or humanizing them in some cases. So they like would rather. So what do? They're like, I'm on my own and I will figure it out and I will accept all responsibility. And it's not that we believe it's fair. It's not that we believe it's fair. It's we believe that's how it is. And then we acting from that perspective, we grind, we hustle, and we don't think it's some tragedy to do it, by the way. We don't think. Meanwhile, you have people who dream and fantasize about the system doing more for them, and they look at work as some punishment. Work's not some punishment. Think about what you can do that creates value for other people that doesn't bother you and doesn't upset you. It's like, I mean, does everyone really just expect that they should be able to live their entire life just being unproductive?
Yeah.
And how's that going to make you happy? It makes me miserable when I'm unproductive.
I think that when you come from nothing or when you have nothing, then you have nothing to lose, right? And so that sense of that, you know, when you're desperate, you will do whatever it takes, right? And that desperation can be anything from like wanting to take advantage of the opportunity that your parents gave you, right? Because of the fact that they didn't have those opportunities, and like there is a desperation of not wanting to let them down, and then also making it worth it, right? Not having it be in vain. And these are all things that come into play when we're talking about this specifically, right? About this topic specifically, but then there's I think too, like if we're talking like as an individual, right? Like as an immigrant, it's two options. Either you stay where you are and you don't have freedoms, or you don't have, you know, the life that you think you deserve, right? Or you don't have the basic human rights, right? Depending on what country you're from. Or you do whatever it takes to get to a new place where you do have all those things that you require. That's it. I mean, there's only two options, right? When you're in that position.
Yeah.
And so
I get what Jimmy's saying, that there's no safety net for us, but I wonder if I really want my future potential kids to grow up like I did. It's not that you want them to grow up with what you did. It's that you want them to still grow up with your values. That's the difference. You want them to still grow up with your values. Because I grew up and I had it better than my parents by a lot, but we still didn't have it great, but I still have those same values. And my kids will never have it as hard as me or as hard as my parents, but I will still fight to make sure that they retain my values. And there's ways to do that and ways to make them respect it by, yes, making sure that all their needs are provided for, but then really, really making it to where for their wants, they have to earn those things through merit, and that they respect it. And also that I don't shield them from my stories and my hardship, but I don't traumatize them with it, so that they can respect what was done for them. And so also build a bond with them to where they don't want to live a life that would make me ashamed of them. Like there are religions and there's cultures where people believe that their ancestors are with them at all times and they act accordingly, right? Imagine that you go through your entire day believing that your ancestors are watching.
Yeah, man.
People who live like that. There are people who do live like that, and and you can tell.
I've thought about it before, man. Like I've thought about it before, and it's not even something that's like in my culture or anything like that. But I'm just like, oh man, like what if grandma's like watching me right now? Like, you know, this is pretty sus. Like, I don't know if I want anybody to like see what I'm doing right now, right?
Yeah.
Especially grandma. but you know, like those things, they do. I mean, they change the action that I'm taking, right? So they do shape what we do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I think it's not just in immigrants. I think there are people who are a little older or more traditional Americans who got past these values. I mean, Audrey, you're different than a lot of people in your generation in terms of your relationship with work and work ethic. And I think that this owed greatly to having met your parents. I think it's owed greatly to the values that your parents had.
Oh God.
What?
Welcome to the podcast.
What? I'm listening. I'm paying attention. I'm just
all right. He just asked you a question.
My parents,
like, do you
having work ethic?
Yeah. Do you think that that's where you get a lot of like your values and your work ethic is because of like the way your parents are and how they raise you?
Yeah, I mean, I think both my parents were pretty entrepreneurial, so it's like are
Lead by example.
so past tense are entrepreneurial. So I think that helped a lot because they both have experience like starting businesses and stuff. So I kind of got a leg up in that department from them. So
I think
yeah.
people, I think people, because here's the thing, I can understand people, again, coming from a single parent home, I can understand people who maybe they watch their parents and or their older siblings work all the time. Maybe they felt neglected. Maybe they felt there was enough time or energy or left for them and they didn't get the things they want. And that for all their hard work, that it didn't pay off or it didn't amount to anything. I can understand that. And then resenting a system that theoretically created that. But I also think it's ridiculous to be naive to think that as people have fought and fought and fought for generations, that somehow you're going to upend this system. Because the thing is, with human rights, there's a difference. But with economics, there's economics, not so much. Economics are something that you're probably not going to change at a macro level. You can change things, and people have successfully changed things in terms of for the better, because with human rights, most people can acknowledge and most people can accept that people deserve to be treated fairly and that people deserve to have equal protections under the law. Most people agree with those things. So it's, even though those things are hard fought and hard won, they are hard fought and hard won in a very relatively, in a short period of time within people's lifetimes. And those injustices don't, in a modern society, those injustices don't stand very long in a modern society, in a modern place, in a Western place. So that's a difference. That's one thing. However, economics are much more complicated than humanity and treating people right. You know, that's a much more convoluted and more difficult thing. And the thing is, we will not all agree on the value of a dollar, the value of time, the value of a service, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, people won't agree when their position changes in a situation. So my thing with a lot of young people is you don't get a healthy respect for money until you experience more things in life and you get older. And as you get older, and people don't like to accept this, that as you get older, your perspective, your point of view, and your experiences often change. If they don't, something bad happened, something wrong happened. If you don't have experiences and you don't grow and change relative to that, then something is going wrong. Typically, you're somehow stunted or stifled. And I've seen that happen too. And so I've seen millennials that have been stunted, and they're way too much like Gen Z because they just literally never grew up and they never moved on and they never had a broader worldview introduced to them at all. And it's really troubling. It's really troubling, and it's not great for their mental health. It's not great for their situation. It makes it very difficult for them in life, especially when it comes to securing their future as an adult, finding partners. It's really hard, and it's hard to watch. And it's a massive maturity issue and problem. And I think that this young generation of people that are very, very TikTok obsessed is part of that too. And it's going to be perpetually, from just habits, perpetually stunted. One, all these diminishing attention spans is one thing. It's going to make it very hard to be productive. And then they're already in a culture that resents hard work, resents capitalism, results productivity. And okay, how are they going to compete in a world? Because again, they don't realize they're in a small, isolated bubble. How are they going to compete in a world with people who are hungry and who don't think and don't feel that way? How are they going to compete in a global marketplace? And how are they going to even fight back against the idea of competing in a global marketplace? Because remember, a lot of those young people, they're much more progressive. So they can't fight globalism if they're progressive. And they don't want to be xenophobic, so they can't be anti-immigration. So how are they going to compete in an open world, an open economy, or with open borders? How are they going to compete with immigrants? How are they going to, if they have a resentment of capitalism when immigrants don't, having fled communist and socialist countries? How are they going to then compete in the marketplace? How are they going to try to justify to an employer getting higher wages? Even if there are higher wages, if the world and the marketplace opens up, it won't be these kids and these TikTokers and these activists getting those higher wages. If it comes down to it, it'll be the people who leave Venezuela. It'll be the people who leave China. It will be the people who leave places like Afghanistan. It will be those people. It'll be the people who flee the cartels in Mexico and in Central America and South America. It won't be Western young people that felt they fought and advocated for those higher wages or those workers' rights movements or whatever. They won't be the beneficiaries of it, because they'll actually end up creating a situation where they're not the people who are then the best qualified for people who are willing to pay that. And they won't be able to fight against it, because then how are they going to fight back against these marginalized people that then beat them? See, it doesn't make any sense. That's why I say, like, this whole cultural phenomenon, it's not just TikTok, but it's the cultural phenomenons that are TikTok adjacent, are going to destroy Western society as we know
They
it.
already are.
What makes you say it's already? What makes you say it's
because
not?
because it already has. It's already made the damage, especially in the last couple of years, where it's, I mean, once the seed is planted,
Oh, that's fair.
forget it. It's gonna it's gonna grow. And especially given the time that we spent locked up
That destroyed
during the
people's health.
pandemic, that in combination with the boom of TikTok, those two things mixed together were an atomic reaction for a lot of people.
Well, you combine that. Another thing we didn't even touch with it is the misinformation piece of TikTok. There's really bad financial and medical, and it's misinformation. There are people that, because of like other political things we don't talk about, that are like getting sick and getting really deathly ill now because they got recommended taking the wrong medications and pills off of TikTok out of desperation, out of fear. So in this culture of desperation, fear, anxiety, all this stuff, and then misinformation, that's a very dangerous combination right there. And then in terms of meme culture and rebellion and fighting the man and sticking it to the hedge funds, people are losing their whole life savings off of that because they want to weaponize their money, let the little money they have as retail investors, to be petty. And I get where they're coming from with the like, stick it to the man or screw these hedge funds, but it's like, do you need to really risk it all? And do you really need to like go down with that ship and everything like that? I mean, do you not have a more positive thing in life that you could be doing? And like, even if you made a little bit of money, why not just take the profits, cut and run, and then make your life better and not have to live for the resentment? You know, he who seeks revenge better dig 2 graves.
Audrey, is there something that you would like to say?
I mean, I feel like all new generations are always like kind of rebellious and trying to change things. No, like, isn't that kind of inevitable?
The difference is scale. The difference is they didn't have, previous generations didn't have technology and scale. And in terms of rebellion, they didn't have the capacity to mobilize and organize, but also they didn't have the ability to create a reality distortion bubble around their impact and their influence. Remember what we said earlier? Someone will think they have all this influence because they have this follower account and they have this thing and they think they have support. And then it doesn't manifest and materialize in a real world way. So again, they're living a delusion. It's a reality distortion bubble. They have an arrogance because they have an overinflated sense of their ability and their impact and their influence and their power. Like me, people have sometimes mistakenly called me arrogant when the word they're looking for is conceited. I don't have a delusional and misappropriate perception of my ability and my power. I know exactly what my limitations are. There's a difference. It's not like me being Anakin Skywalker, overestimating my power and then losing like half my limbs. It's not like, that's not what's happening here. I know what my power level actually is. I actually sandbag my power level a lot of times. I know what my limitations are and I know what I'm capable of. But the thing is, if people think that I have too much quote unquote self-love because I have boundaries and I respect myself, or they think I'm feeling myself a little bit too much, or I give myself a little bit too much credit, the word they're looking for is, they think they should then call me conceited or bougie, not arrogant. I know what my limitations are and I'm not overstating my abilities. If you think I'm feeling myself too much, then I'm just bougie or arrogant. Not arrogant. I'm not arrogant. I'm either just bougie or conceited then. But in terms of actual arrogance, the actual arrogance is there are too many young influencers that overestimate their power. They overestimate their impact. They overestimate their influence, and they underestimate how important it is to have a higher income than the one they currently have. Like what Jimmy's saying, the distortion, the lack of info back in the days. Now it's the abundance of info and misinfo and disinfo and not knowing the difference.
It's curated. Curated information, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's correct or incorrect.
Yeah, that's
but it is curated.
It's stuck in bubbles.
Right.
So a matter of what's popular is what's visible. What's visible becomes what's true.
Yeah, and also what you engage with.
Right. Well, what's more visible to you is what's more true to you. But just because something is more visible and more true to you does not mean it scales to objective truth and objective reality.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it scales to material consequences either.
It depends on what ideas you're talking about, Juanfer. So Juanfer just asked, do you think Gen Z will leave those ideas behind as they age?
Some of them won't be able to, because those ideas then become their, whatever ideas they have, they become their group. Their group then becomes their identity. So if your whole is you like being an anarchist, if you like being an anarchist, you may not be able to leave that behind as you get older, because you've gotten used to that identity and you don't have the critical thinking skills or coping skills to build a new identity. So you may not. Yeah. And then you go through life being disqualified from a lot of things because they're not compatible with this identity. And see, that's what people think. A lot of people think they're more marginalized than they are, but what they don't accept responsibility for is that the things and experiences they want are not compatible with the identity they currently have.
Yeah, I think it depends on the ideas that they're developing and how ingrained those ideologies are. And then also if their offline relationships mirror their online relationships. Because I mean, something that I'm fortunate of is having a very diverse network of IRL friends and connections, which gives me a perspective that is very different from some of the stuff I might see on my feed, because my feed is very vertical and it only serves me very specific topics and content, and it's not as diverse as my real life relationships that are off of the computer. But that isn't the case for a lot of people, because there are people who are either antisocial or they don't have as many connections or opportunities. They live in a very small country or town, and because of that, then they don't have that diversity. What they have is the feed and the algorithm. So their view and their perspective on the world might be a little bit more narrow, which will make it a lot more difficult for them to change that and to shift perspectives as they age.
If you recall, I was not 100% either way, but I was somewhat against the idea of blaming algorithms for radicalizing people. I've reversed my decision on that. Like, I did during the pandemic, I reversed my decision. This is not a new phenomenon for me. It's like, it's been like 2 years since I pivoted to this position, and I was on my way to this position before that, with more evidence and more time. And I do believe that various social media platforms and algorithms radicalize people in different ways. And I believe they don't just radicalize one group. I think they radicalize all groups. I think they make all groups more radical, all groups more militant, all groups more polarized and divided. I believe that wholeheartedly, 100% down that hill. I genuinely believe that, not for the better. And I believe that radicalization, we only think about violent and militant radicalization. We don't even consider that there's other forms of radicalization in terms of radicalizing things, even just like envy or jealousy,
the stuff close to home,
or the stuff close to absolutely, or that the battle of the things like the battle of the sexes, or even beyond that, just the feelings of being less than being massively, massively reinforced, especially Instagram. Instagram like does that. And again, I'm not blaming the technology entirely. I'm saying that technology is an amplifier for a problem that already exists in our nature. But now we don't have a generation of people that are even brought up in environments that would give them the critical thinking and or coping skills to pull the eject button or the emergency hatch or to turn it off. And even beyond that, and that those younger generations being much more vulnerable, even older generations are not immune to it, because they're also designed by their nature to be massively, massively addictive. They're doing studies now of the amount of dopamine released by using these things. And it's a drug. It's a drug. It's addiction. Phone addiction is real. Social media addiction is real. Screen addiction is real. It's all actually literally addiction. It's just a drug. It's crack rock.
Yeah. Have you seen the documentary The Social Dilemma?
Yes, but I feel it's a little dated. I feel like I feel like it's a little dated. I feel like but also narratively they made
what part do you feel is dated?
Quite a bit of it, because like again, when it came out, we weren't where we are right now.
Yeah, I mean that was a couple years ago.
So there's a lot more that's come of this, and there are more incidents that have come out of like social media and out of the culture of it and everything like that. I mean, the Social Dilemma came out before the Christchurch massacre, for example, in New Zealand.
Did it?
Yeah. It did.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
It did. And so that's a thing. And it also came out before TikTok was to the degree and to the level that it is as a phenomenon. And remember, TikTok then also reshaped all the other social media platforms. They're all chasing TikTok. Whereas before, all social media platforms chased YouTube. Now all social media platforms chase TikTok. And the thing is, they don't even care that TikTok is not nearly as profitable as it should be. They are the companies themselves have decided that the commodity of attention is even more important, and in the market share of attention is more important than the market share of dollars.
Okay, just to clarify, so the shooting did happen in 2019, and The Social Dilemma came out in 2020. So it came out after the shooting.
It came out after the shooting, but it was produced before it.
Well, sure.
It was made. I'm saying it was made before it.
It's pretty tight, yeah.
Yeah, but it was made before that happened.
Sure.
That would have been a feature in it, and that would have narratively probably changed it.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a feature in it, and it would narratively change it. There's other things that have happened. The Social Dilemma came out really before we had real hard examples of cancel culture.
Sure. I mean, 2020 radicalized a lot of people, or rather took a lot of people who were already on the verge of radicalization to the extreme end, right? Right. And so I think that
2020 did Social Dilemma come? What month in 2020 did it come out?
In 2020? When did it come out?
Mm-hmm.
At the start of the year, January.
So it even came out before the elections.
And before the pandemic.
Case in point, that's what I think makes it dated. It's before elections and before COVID.
It's dated.
And before the true rise of TikTok, and before people really understood what TikTok was.
But they discussed a lot of things that people are starting to discuss now.
Yeah, I agree.
So it was a little bit ahead of its time, and then also the timing was not in their favor, I feel like.
Well, I think when I say dated, I mean if they had the perspective of, I mean, they were prescient.
They didn't talk about TikTok,
right?
Basically, which is a huge part of the conversation at this point.
Because again, it TikTok redefined everything, and the pandemic redefined everything. So those massive, and the election redefined everything. So those are like three massive turning points that would have mattered.
Right.
I'd watch a sequel. I mean, they could do a sequel.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember watching that, and I watched it with my parents, and I think for them it was pretty like revealing about how rabbit holes do exist and like how algorithms push you down them basically. But yeah, that's what I remember from that documentary. It did feel outdated.
Mm-hmm.
And also for this generation, it would feel outdated because 2 years ago is forever ago for them. It's ancient history. Like, because again, the fact that it does not have a touch point to the most relevant things in their memory is what would make it dated too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to talk about, influencing people and you don't talk about TikTok, especially during the election, like, I don't know, it's just outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they included some stuff that kind of leads up to it. I mean, they were as relevant as they could be, right?
Yeah, I'm not blaming you on that. I'm just,
during that time. But I mean, I only brought it up because it's relevant to the conversation that we're having now, and it's an extension of our conversation of what we're discussing, right? So if people want to watch that, they can. But yeah. Well, Audrey doesn't have a topic, so
I came up with a random topic earlier.
I think
Audrey.
I think Audrey's made her contribution. I think it's a good place to bookmark it.
Well, I will have a topic next time. I've told you guys what my topic is. I just can't talk about it. I was like trying to come up with something, but I literally could not think about anything else. So related to creator stuff.
Gotcha. Well, on that note, that's it for the No Assembly Required podcast, the podcast where we talk about nothing. Tune in next week where Audrey promises to have a topic.
I actually won't be here next week.
Well.
Wow.
Well, the week after.
Okay.
I will be at camp, remember?
Yes. This has been your trio of hosts, starting off with Audrey, has no topic, Ember, Romina with the good hair, and your Dark Lord of the interwebs, here for the doom and gloom, Roberto Blake. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time, except for Audrey. Nah.